And on the $1 billion approved to fight insurgency and other security challenges in the country, we have joining us from our Abuja studio, former Director, State Security Service, Mike Ejiofor in Abuja. Good morning, Mike. It's good to have you join us right now. Now, Nigerians certainly wouldn't, or not a lot of people who are not in the system would understand what it takes to the difference between approving money and releasing it and having military wares to fight insurgency like we have, especially the complex situation we have in Nigeria. Talk to us first of all. It's almost a year that this money was approved. Certainly, approval is not the release of the funds. But what does it take really in approving money and getting it released and then going to get the weapons that are meant and bringing them in, and then they have them in the field, on the field?
Well, thank you very much for having me. The issue remains that approval and release, they are two different things. Even in our budget, you can see that our budget generally is performing below expectation. So this issue is not isolated. If you also recall that when the president did approve this with the NEC, this $1 billion, it generated a lot of controversy between the National Assembly and the president before the issues were virtually resolved. But it's shocking and disheartening to note that up to now, that money has not been released in view of the fact that we have a lot of security challenges, especially in the northeast, fighting Boko Haram. Boko Haram is expanding. We have this Islamic State of West African province collaborating with our local Boko Haram. They have affiliation with ISIS. So I think government should take this very seriously. They should take this issue of fighting Boko Haram very seriously. We cannot continue to blame our military for non-performance. I sympathize with them. These are people who have families. I think we should go beyond blame games. So the issue of talking about release and approval, the money has been approved. So all necessary measures should be taken to ensure that the money is released. And don't also forget that buying these arms are nothing you buy off the shelf. When you get the release, you have to place order. It's going to take time. Like the Tucano that has been paid for, it's going to take up to 2023 before they are delivered. So we'll have a major crisis in our hand. I'm disturbed and I'm very worried.
Yeah, it's just like so many Nigerians. Now that the president has, come up with this emergency directive that arms should be procured, you're wondering if there's a process to it and we have an emergency on our hands. How will this really work out to actually reflect the emergency situation that we have at hand? I mean, with this directive, will we get the arms as quickly as possible, or will it still have to go through the process?
If you listen to any analysis, arms are not things you buy off the shelf. So there's no shortcut to buying arms. And you recall that before 2015, we are lucky now that the Nigerian government is getting international support from various countries. Before 2015, we were on this Lee ban to purchase arms, that the government was going through third parties, black market if you may call it, to buy arms. But now we have support for the international. So I think this is an internal administrative problem that has to be resolved immediately. Priority should be given to the release of these funds so that our military can take responsibility for whatever. For now, I don't have blame for the military because they are poorly equipped.
Recently, there was a report by the House of Reps. Don't know how, true or the veracity of the report that in the course of their investigation, they discovered that no arms really has been purchased under this administration, which is a bit difficult to swallow. That all the arms that the military has been using in executing the war against insurgency were actually purchased by in the former administrations. I mean, I wonder what you make of that, if really indeed it is the truth.
Well, these are allegations and rumors. I'm not in a position to confirm or refute that, except the military. But I'm aware that the previous administration made a lot of purchase and orders before they exited. And if you recall, that was why the election was postponed to enable them to take for 6 weeks. That is in 2015, to enable them to take stock and delivery of some arms. So I'm not in a position to know whether it's the same arm they are using or this government has bought another. The Minister of Information is there to give the necessary details, or the military.
All right.
I'm just a Nigerian, just like yourself.
Okay. Mike, you have said before that certainly arms are not things you buy from off the shelf. They're not just there for you to just go buy like you buy snacks or things like that. But based on the issue of relations and friendship and bilateral agreements between countries on military and diplomacy and all of that, is it likely or possible that a situation arises where a country that is not necessarily at war can give part of the military hardware or equipment in their arsenal to assist a fellow sister country? For instance, if South Africa is not at war necessarily, is it possible they can give Nigeria part of arms in the arsenal? Is there any agreement like that within the at the diplomatic level and so on, or security,
Why not? If Nigeria asks for support, why not? I recall, I think about a year ago, I remember that the American government sent in some arms in terms of for assistance to Nigeria, and many other countries have it. But I believe that we as Nigerians, our Nigerian government, should reach out to other countries like they've been doing to ensure that we get maximum support from international communities, because if anything is happening in Nigeria, at least the West African sub-region, the African continent, Nigeria is a leading nation, and it will disturb everybody. I think we should solicit more international support, which will be easier than placing orders to purchase arms.
That international support seems to be very much in doubt. I mean, we've spoken with some security experts who have actually, come up with some kind of conspiracy theory that, look, just imagine a scenario where Nigeria actually is able to end Boko Haram insurgency and other security challenges that we have. It would mean then that these countries, the advanced countries that we rely on, would not have, buyers of their weapons that they seem to develop as quickly as possible. I mean, within 6 months, 1 year, you have new versions of, some of the equipment. Do you buy into this conspiracy theory?
Well, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, but I don't see what they stand to gain, because Nigeria is a major international player. Everybody is interested in what is going on in Nigeria. But the fact remains that we should take the initiative by soliciting international support. I don't know what has come of the multinational joint task force, because I don't believe that most of these attacks, especially on the military, are from the locals. I think the multinational joint task force should strengthen its measures in checking our borders. A situation where our military will be under attack, it is very, very, very disturbing, and we need to do something about it, more so when we are going to election. We have other security challenges, but this one is very, very disturbing, that money approved for almost 1 year has not been released. It's disturbing, and the government should be worried about it.
Okay, this is not the first time we'll be talking about Nigeria seeking support from other countries. United States, the UK, Israel, so many other countries have agreed to say we will assist Nigeria. In fact, some of them have outrightly come to train. We've had reports from the military and some other analysts who have said that, yeah, when it comes to training Nigerian personnel and troops, we've had some of these countries come to train Nigerian troops before. But as it is right now, that it seems like there's a resurgence of these attacks. It seems like they seem like a spike. How would you assess the support from these countries over the years now?
Well, we've been getting support. We've been getting support from international communities and organizations, but I think we need more of those supports now in terms of collaboration. You see, the Nigerian military, including the Nigerian police, if they go outside this country, they perform very well. So why is it that we cannot perform in our country or defend our country? It's worrisome because it's the environment. It's not peculiar to the security subsector. You look at the politics of bitterness they are playing. Nobody is interested in the country. People are not patriotic. People are running the government, are not even interested in what is happening in government. They are interested in what they should benefit and gain. And that is our greatest challenge. We should try and be patriotic. Make Nigeria first.
Yes, I mean, it's a very, very important statement that you just made there, which, you know, leads me to asking the question as to, look, it's one thing really to make funds available, whether it's $1 billion or, you know, whatever the amount is. But then again, it's another thing to raise the morale of the soldiers in the battlefront, who are the ones who will handle the weapons in the first place. Which is even more important in your estimation? Raising the morale of the men in the battlefront, or fixing the issue of obsolete equipment, or should this actually work pari passu?
Well, if you go and the morale of the fighting troops is very, very important and critical. If you go and buy arms, and people who are there to operate and fight are demoralized, they don't have the incentive, I'm not sure they will fight. But part of this money was not just meant for arms purchase. Part of it was for their welfare of the troops. And the money is not released. And these are people who have families, who were wasting their lives, people who have dedicated their life to the defense of this country. It's very sad. It's very sad indeed.
What do you think is missing, really, in Nigeria's war against insurgency, if you're to look at it critically? I mean, yes, the issue of poor funding has been raised and all of that. And on the other hand, you have people saying that there are people within the military echelon that, you know, that are actually cashing in on this, who really don't even want it to end.
You see, poor funding, like I said earlier, is not peculiar to security subsector. But the fact remains that if there is no security, there won't be development. So provision of security is very, very key to our national development. So we must develop. There won't be development if there's no security, and if there's no security, there won't be any development. We must set our priorities right by putting this security in the forefront and tackling it. Investors are running away from our country because of insecurity. And we are losing. We are the people losing. So we should set our priorities right. Our politicians should learn not to play politics with our security, because that is exactly what is going on now.
All right. Within the security apparatus, it's not just the military that is involved in this war against insurgents. We have the police. In fact, the government just deployed, we just got a report of the deployment of 2,000 police officers to the northeast. We also have the SSS that is also involved, very involved in intelligence gathering and all of that. Now, someone talks about the issue of the trust between one agency and the other when it comes to sharing of information, when it comes to sharing intelligence. Talk to us how this synergy is working out or otherwise in the northeast.
Yeah, you see, I was in another station yesterday, and this issue came up. With all due respect, I think is the most daunting to do, sending 2,000 policemen to Borno to go. I agree, there are people on ground, there are policemen on ground, but making publicity of this issue that you are sending 2,000 policemen to go, and the situation that cannot be contained by the military, and you are sending, that is suicidal, for God's sake. It's very saddening. And I don't see what they are going to do. I believe that the responsibility of the police is to maintain peace in secured areas, especially in war-torn areas like this. They shouldn't be at the front. Whether you have sniffer dogs, you have EOD and whatever you call them, by whatever name. Situation that cannot be contained by the military, you are sending the police. Then on there's supposed to be synergy between all the agencies, interagency cooperation. You talk of intelligence gathering by the State Security Service. You also recall that the State Security Service had some image problem before the change of leadership, where almost everybody was against the SSS. But with the new leadership, that is now trying to realign the service, take care of the welfare of the staff, relate with members of the public, I think the intelligence gathering effort should now be up in our game. I want to use the opportunity to appeal to members of the public. Intelligence agency operators, they are no magicians. They work on the information provided by the people. So you need to volunteer information, collaborate more with the State Security Service to enable them, provide intelligence, support our military, support the police. This is what I do. This negative propaganda is not helping us. Rather, it is even fueling the insurgents to take more drastic action. So we should be patriotic enough to see that we reorder our priorities by criticizing our military and our fighting forces. These are people with families, for God's sake. They are Nigerians who have dedicated their life. I feel pained, when I discuss some of these issues like this.
Yes, of course, we do understand that. I don't know what you think about, the Chief of Army Staff revelation that the Nigerian military will change strategy, that it will now actually go on the offensive instead of the usual defensive posture, that the military has, had all the while. Are you worried really that, we have not really been more, taking the war to the insurgents in the first place up until now?
Please come again with that question, Brooklyn.
Yeah, the change in strategy what the Chief of Army Staff has talked about, as in taking the war to the insurgents as against the defensive posture. Are you concerned that we have not even been taking the war to the terrorists in the first place up until now?
Well, I wouldn't agree with you on that. You remember that the inaugural speech of the president, he did direct that the operational theater base be moved to Borno. I think this is the third time. We are still saying the same thing. Okay. We cannot get results. We cannot achieve results by moving, if you like, move the Chief of Army Staff, move the Commander-in-Chief to that theater of war without the necessary tools to fight. It's not going to make any difference. So I don't see why that, I don't see any effect on that. Provide the necessary tools and we'll get results. It's not taking offensive. We've been hearing of, you see, that is where it is worrisome. I say we should not play politics with our security. You hear today Boko Haram is degraded, is technically defeated, is all kind of
and that's the real concern, Mike. That's the real concern, because when you have those rhetorics and conflicting rhetorics coming from within the system, or even the military or the government, what do you expect Nigerians to feel? Because what you were saying earlier on, which I agree, that we should support and stand by our military and security agencies, because what they are doing for the country is really an enormous one. But when from the security agencies we hear this discordant tunes, we've technically defeated and all of that, and we see how people dying on a daily basis, what should Nigerians say? But we must thank you for joining us on the program. Mike Ejiofor, former Director, State Security Service, thank you for coming on the program. Thank you.